Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with the FX Market Insight for Wednesday, the 22nd of January. All right, just starting on the risk on, risk off page, just having a bit of a look here now. Things seem to have settled down somewhat. The risk off appetite that was in play during the North American session definitely eased during the Asian session here. As you can see, equities sort of coming back a little bit from yesterday's moves lower, and gold also falling a little bit there as well. So there's still, if you're looking at for opportunities, the correlation matrix, which I have up here, still you want to keep an eye on the equity markets. I was going to say the S&P mini there. Gold still high correlation there with that. And keep an eye on CAD yen. Anything above 80% to me is in fair play. So dollar yen as well. Now, this is all, it's a bit of a situation, right? So you've got gold moving, you've got the yen, not so much the Swiss, but what we are starting to see, if I just come off this page and bring you back to the news page, you'll start to see where things are coming from, because basically what we're seeing is a few geopolitical events now. This Chinese new virus going around, the coronavirus, it is obviously going to be pretty easy to circulate around the world. I know there's some in the US, there's some in Australia. There'd be people coming and going from all over the place. Now, we have seen the bird flu, the swine flu, and a few other things come through out of Asia over the last 10 or 15, 20 years. To me, this is more like the news services have very little to report on, more so than some epidemic. They are starting to report, Asian shares slide on the China virus. You know what? It's more on the geopolitical unrest, especially around Trump's impeachment, is a key part to it. And then you've also got Brexit, which is there's a lot of speculation what sterling's going to do. Yesterday we had reasonably strong UK average earnings and employment numbers. So sterling is still in the balance. And when I bring you across to the charts here, having a look at the, what's what on the charts, we are starting to see a few of the pairs start to slide a little bit lower. Aussie's just resting on daily support. Kiwi still just dribbling down, but see, there's no follow through, no momentum. And dollar yen, here's the the so-called safe haven trade. It dropped a little bit yesterday. It's coming back. If anything, to me, I've been bearish euro for the last 5 years, and it hasn't really done a lot for me. But once again, we are starting to see weakness here. We do need strong US numbers or weak European numbers to really get this thing moving. Funnily enough, the zoo economic sentiment numbers yesterday were through the roof, right? Really strong. So that's a bit of a hard one to pick. It's definitely geopolitics in action. And dollar CAD, okay, it's sort of in the middle of nowhere at the moment. But this is the pair that I think you should be really focusing on going forward. Now, let me explain why. If I just bring you over to the MyFX Trading Hub, just having a look at the overall analysis of the pairs, there's been no major change across the board. Once again, trading conditions, pretty average, geopolitical events sort of dominating. We've got a bit of dollar strength still in the market. We've got very weak downside moves in these bottom pairs, Euro, Sterling, Aussie, and Kiwi. Sterling almost going sideways. Dollar CAD still on the longer term charts has still broken down, even though it's slowly climbing back. But this is where you put it all together, right? This is where important things, you need to focus on them, right? We've got the CPI numbers out of Canada, first of all, today, and then followed up an hour and a half later with the Bank of Canada interest rate decision and statement. Now, no change in rates expected, but you want to keep a very close eye on what the statement is and also what the Bank of Canada president, chairman, or whatever it is, I've just lost my mind, Stephen Poloz. We'll see what he's got to say. The governor, I should say. This is where the action is, right? So you got three sort of big events. Now, the bottom two are sort of tied together, but the CPI as well. We've got these events to kick into. Now, if I bring you back to the charts, this is where you need to be really focusing on the real opportunities. Now, looking at dollar CAD, right? If I draw a trend line from the top here to the current market, well, that's all I'm doing is focusing on the recent high, and you may as well just focus on that. Don't mislead yourself with unless there's trend lines that are touching multiple levels. Don't worry about that. Now, this trend line on the downside has got a little bit better structure than the one on the top side. You could, definitely leave that there. May give you some insight into the downside. But really, dollar CAD there, it's not like, well, is it going up or down? I don't know. But if I change to the CAD profile, the CAD template, you can start to piece together here where the opportunities are. Now, looking at Kiwi CAD and actually Euro CAD, two pairs which, if we get strong Canadian CPI numbers, which should lead the Bank of Canada into a bit of a more of a hawkish sort of tone, then we might see a decent move through the support trend lines here. Now, these trend lines, unlike the other pairs here where, CAD Yen's in the middle of the range, Aussie Yen more so as well, Sterling CAD definitely, and same with CAD Swiss. Well, it leaves Euro CAD and Kiwi CAD with some support trend lines here. Even though they're only short term, they do have multiple touches, and this gives us opportunities on the downside. If we get weak CAD numbers, well, you could potentially be buying those pairs, but I like to move with fresh momentum through support and resistance, and that's where the move really comes into play. So for me, I'm going to definitely be focusing on dollar CAD over the next 24 hours. That's where the action is. To me, it's sort of losing a bit of momentum on the whole sell situation because the daily charts on dollar CAD are starting. They've been trading sideways for some time, even though they've broken down through that previous support. So it may be a weak sell at the moment, but the data here will tell us whether to buy or sell. And that's what we're looking for. And then we're just looking for the pairs to match up with that opportunity. All right. There's a fair bit to think about there, but have a think about it. And that's where I think the action is. The rest of the majors, well, you know what? We're just waiting for Donald to play his game and see how that plays out. But I'm a bit concerned about this risk-off trade. I think that's going to be turned around today. Keep an eye on the North American session. The equity markets there are directing the next move, right? So I think outside of the overall data, that's what you need to be looking for, right? And if you don't have Metastock or Refinitiv, as it's called now, you're going to be chasing your tail. All right, guys, have a good one. Cheerio.